I'm the girlfriend he was talking about. I'm a writer too. I do more creative nonfiction, where I write about my life and all the wacky hijinks that ensue. And this one is about when I was kicked out of the mall because I was dressed up as Lady Gaga, and kind of all of the things that surround that. And I will get started. It's called No Gagas Allowed. All my life, I've been a little ham. I've always strived to be different or to get attention in some way. So, on a dull September weekend, when I was crying on my kitchen floor about the second pizza I dropped face down on the carpet, a lot more was going through my head than the loss of my dinner. Earlier that day, I was kicked out of Glenbrook Mall because I have an unreasonable, unhealthy thirst for attention. This I pondered as I used Clorox cleanups to scrub the huge circular tomato stain out of the carpet. A lot of feel-good specials and self-esteem ads state that outer beauty is a reflection of inner beauty. I personally think this is bullshit due to the fact that a lot of terrible assholes have the face and body they don't deserve, and a bunch of perfectly decent people have fucked up teeth or noses. I guess what these after-school specials are trying to say is if you are a twat, it will probably show, no matter how many chemical reactions are taking place on your face due from cosmetics. Going by this string of logic, my desire to have all eyes on me is made apparent by how I cover my naked body most days. My wardrobe tends to be very obnoxious. The girl with bright pink pants walking across campus is impossible to miss. I'm programmed in such a way that it's torture to leave the house in anything less conspicuous than something resembling a box of crayons. My crazy reasoning has evolved to the point where I might as well wrap myself in Christmas lights before I leave the house. With that said, I'm going to be straight up with everything. I'm not going to state, I dress this way to express who I am, or this is just me, like any good nonconformist, because I would be lying. I dress ridiculous for others, and I know it. This, like any major issue a person may have, stemmed from childhood. Even when I was a toddler, I'd fight to get the praise of all the adults in the room, and I imagine this was made very difficult for my mother, to have a child who would wear whatever she could get her seemingly many hands on. I wore outlandishly mismatched items in public, and the giant tub of Halloween costumes was kept out all year long. My mother just shrugged her shoulders and went with it, not giving a shit. She figured that if I put on bunny ears, it would get me the attention I deserved. And she figured it'd be easier to take care of a child dressed as a bunny at the local library than to take care of an upset child who didn't want to do anything because she was robbed of the comfort of a different identity. However, the problems you don't deal with from the child are traded from the problems of from the disapproval of others. Ignoring the angry muttering directed towards her, my mom waited happily for a child to board her brown minivan after a day at her Christian preschool dressed as Satan, but was not so happy waiting for a fully grown, wigged and fishnet-wearing daughter to board her black minivan outside the public shopping domain. I told you this wasn't a good idea. I know, Mom. Taking off my sunglasses, I squinted at the road. Everything was a gray blur. It was absurd to think of wearing sunglasses on a cloudy day like this, but I had to, because they went with the outfit. I kicked off my shoes and wondered how many people would remember seeing me on their leisurely Saturday trip to the mall. However, hopefully, management wouldn't remember who I was so I could go back and buy earrings and earbuds and other unnecessary things, and possibly not get kicked out again. And they wouldn't know who the hell I was anyway, unless I went back in the same attire. You look fucking ridiculous. I know, Mom. Feeling a little disappointed that my adventure had been cut short, I thought that maybe I'd make myself a pizza and was looking forward to that. I imagined that if my life were a sitcom, that this would be the flashback with the voiceover, with my thoughts expressing my excitement for my frozen Italian food with the want-want sound effect in the background. Perhaps the problem is I think of my life as a sitcom, and when I'm kicked out of local establishments, my crazy mind thinks that people will chuckle merrily at my wackiness instead of having an awkward encounter with the law. Well, if attention was my goal, I certainly got it. And now I have to stop what I'm doing and come and pick you up, Emerald. I know, Mom. Truly, I am a woman of words. There are many things that aren't fair about growing up. All the rules change when you're not paying attention. When you're little and coloring in the library, wearing a mustache and a tutu, all the adults smile at you, offering their company and compliments. Meanwhile, the children glare at you, thinking you look retarded. However, trying to wear the same outfit when you're old enough to drive, all the children stop to admire you, smile and wave, and all the adults shoot you dirty looks for the crime of publicly making an ass of yourself. I'm starting to get emotional, I'm sorry. This was made apparent from my walk of shame to the exit of the mall. Lots of children smiled as their irritated parents hurried them along. Turning past a Build-A-Bear workshop, I asked myself why I was such a child. Ironically, a year and a half later, I would be hired there for the same reason that I was getting kicked out. Feeling guilty, I tried to reason with myself. No big deal. People get kicked out of places for less. I looked back and the mall cop was still there, watching me leave. Stupid mall cops never have anything to do in Fort Wayne, so he was probably pissed he had to work for a change. Hopefully my glorious attire would not go to waste. Perhaps I would bust it out in October. It's safe to say that growing up, I rocked Halloween every year like nobody's business. Later in life, however, my ideas on costumes would have a major shift after a sequence of events. It started with my older sister sitting me down on her leather couch to show me a video on her iPhone. This woman reminds me of you. She's so delightfully weird. The video started playing and some blonde lady was playing a piano full of bubbles. That's a bow completely made out of human hair. How strange, I thought. Lady Gaga! A voice carried across the mall and a gaggle of rowdy teenage girls came hurtling towards me. These were the kind of girls who make fun of you in a way that couldn't get them in trouble, but their hurtfulness was made clear through backhandedness and negative tones of voice. Looking as though they found the highlight of their week that they could Facebook, they approached me and I got a lot of, "Oh my gosh, hi, no way, wow, you're so awesome." All sarcastic, of course. I struggled to stay in character. These were the people I did not want to deal with. Hello, little monsters. Yes, this seemed like a decent response. You totally have to sign something. They went on with their incoherent babbling until one of them shrieked, "Sign my ass!" Then they struggled to find a pen. I had finished signing skin, thankfully no asses, when the mall cop approached me and asking me to leave. "You're just here to shop. This is private property," he said in a Midwestern drawl through his gray mustache. I thought about how stupid it was to claim that the fucking mall was private property, but kept my mouth shut because my goody two-shoes didn't want me to backtalk a man in wannabe uniform. I then looked in my clutch bag for my phone to call my mom as I heard the girls' laughter carrying back. A lot can be said about Lady Gaga. Out of everything, the bottom line is she can market herself. Since I saw her video where she was wearing a trademark hair bow, she's gone through an evolution of costumes and personas that transformed her into a pop sensation. Luckily for Stephanie Germanata, I, like everybody else, was completely suckered into the ridiculousness of her alias, Lady Gaga. She's got it down to a science, and for these reasons people love her. I, of course, first identified with her peculiar wardrobe and everything else seemed to follow. A saying goes, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. In that case, Lady Gaga must be my messiah because I did my best to hit every thrift store and costume shop in town and emptied my pockets buying rotary telephones and false eyelashes in order to imitate a drag queen trying to imitate a pop sensation. When I was alone and all dressed up, the thrill would come to a crashing stop. I would be frustrated, nobody could gaze upon my splendor. I started scheming, thinking of ways to force people to condone my brilliance. Later, when the special costume I ordered came in the mail, I had the brilliant idea to venture forth into the mall. Stepping out of the car, my black stiletto hit the asphalt, and I smiled widely at the entrance as the awful wafted mall food engulfed me. I was so blinded by my giddy high that I didn't realize how much reflection on my behavior this would give me as I went to the garage to find the carpet cleaner to remove all the traces of the pizza mess. Yes, I caused myself many problems, whether it may be my sad attempts to get all eyes on me, or not wearing oven mitts to move a hot pizza. It's easy to say my life would be easier if I kept my head down and threw on some overalls, but then I wouldn't be so delightfully emerald. maybe I do dress ridiculously because it's just who I am, a little ham. Or maybe I really do have a psychological issue where I have a drive for attention. Whatever, I'm gonna brush my wigs out and call it a day. Because baby, I was born this way.
Okay, we'll move on to the next artist.
Oh,
But I did
okay.
want to ask a question. Since, there's so much identity in your writing, and I think I kind of caught that before too, when would you say that you came to the conclusion or realization that you were, who you are, and that you weren't afraid to be that person anymore?
Probably when I was diagnosed with mind disorder, because a lot can be given to you with a diagnosis, like, oh, this is what's wrong with me. This is actually, there's a name for it, and these are the characteristics. But that also makes you reflect with, I don't have to be this way. I can be myself. So that really helped me. And also I think when I started writing it out helped me discover myself too. Like, just writing and realizing while you're doing it that you are a certain way and it's okay. That helped me a lot too. Does anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay. Thanks, guys.